kids. Hi, bunnies. Oh, you guys need some clean water. Hi guys, today I'm going to make a sun-dried tomato pasta sauce and it is so good. But before I get started on the sauce, I want to show you how I dehydrate tomatoes to get sun-dried tomatoes. Even though they're not dried by the sun, they still taste just as good as sun-dried tomatoes. So I like to slice up my cherry tomatoes in half, and then I thinly slice my larger tomatoes, which I think these ones are celebrity tomatoes. I slice them about 1/4 of an inch thick, no thicker than that, and then I will lay them all out on the dehydrator. And that's Harley. He's always begging for something, even if he's not hungry, and even if he doesn't like it, he's still gonna beg for it. I will link this dehydrator below. I highly recommend it. It works very well, and I love that the trays nest inside of each other so they store away easily without taking up too much room. Here is the ingredients list if you'd like to pause and take a screenshot of that. Alright, for our ingredients, we're going to use fresh garlic, about 3 cloves minced up. And you gotta use fresh garlic in this recipe because powdered garlic just will not cut it. We're also going to be using 1/8 cup of flour, a fresh green onion, 2 tablespoons of butter, about 1/2 cup of dried tomatoes soaked in water, 1/2 cup of fresh diced tomatoes, and about 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. We're also going to be using 2 cups of heavy cream. For my side dish and my vegetable, I'm going to be boiling some artichokes. And anytime I make pasta, I try not to make the entire meal just the pasta. So I like to have half of our meal at least be a vegetable because that's a lot of carbs. Right, we're going to take a small saucepan to some medium to low heat, and we're going to put our butter and garlic in, and we're going to let that melt until the garlic is nice and aromatic. And then in another pot, we're going to go ahead and warm up our 2 cups of heavy cream. And we're going to bring this to a slow heat. So we want to make sure we've got it on the lowest setting, and we'll slowly bring that heat up until the cream is nice and hot. This is just going to help keep our cream from curdling because we don't want a chunky pasta sauce. That would be really gross. I'm adding my garlic to my butter now, and like I said earlier, I'm just going to heat this up until it's very aromatic. You don't want to toast the garlic, so you're going to keep this at a fairly low temperature. It's time to mince up our sun-dried tomatoes, and I've had my tomatoes soaking in water so they're nice and soft now. So we're going to mince this up as much as we can, and because it's a small amount and I'm using such a big food processor, I have to kind of run it through a couple of times and smash the tomatoes down in order to get them all chopped up nice and fine. Now we're going to add the dried tomatoes to our butter and garlic mixture, and we're going to let this simmer for a little bit. Again, the temperature is on really low, so you don't want to burn your tomatoes or your garlic. And then you're going to add half of your fresh tomatoes to this batch as well. And I like to have a little bit of water nearby so that I can add water to this so that it doesn't burn in my pot. I usually add about 1/4 cup of water, and I just add about 1 tablespoon at a time just to keep the mixture nice and wet while all these flavors are melding together. And I do end up using just about that whole 1/4 cup of water because most of it evaporates out of this. Once this has come together, you're going to go ahead and turn the burner off and let this cool a little bit. Don't forget to check on your cream to make sure that it's not coming to a boil. You just want to warm it up slowly, just as I mentioned earlier. Once that cream is nice and hot, not boiling, just hot, you're going to go ahead and pour that into your tomato mixture. Now you're going to stir that until it's well combined. Now it's time to add our flour, and we're going to use a sifter to do this because it leaves, and it's kind of like a light dusting. It's just easier to stir in. And I'm using a spatula right now, but I'm actually going to switch to a wire whisk. Just make sure that when you're stirring, that you're continuously stirring and you're scraping on the sides so that there isn't any chunks of flour in there or any buildup of flour on the sides of your pot. And we're just adding the flour in, again, a little bit at a time while this is on low heat. Once you've used up all of that flour, you're going to go ahead and dump your Parmesan cheese in. And if it ends up being a little too thick, sometimes it will if you're heavy-handed on the cheese, you can just warm up some more whipping cream and add it to your sauce, and that'll thin it up. Once your Parmesan cheese is melted, you're going to go ahead and taste your sauce, and you're going to add salt to your liking. I always add the salt last because Parmesan cheese can be a bit salty, and sometimes I don't need it, but I usually end up putting a few pinches in there. Now your sauce should look something like this. It's got those nice chunks of tomatoes, and it's a pretty thick sauce, but it's not like nacho cheese sauce. To top this off, we're going to add our fresh tomatoes and dried parsley as well as the green onions, and you can add as little or as much of this as you want. And I also like to sprinkle a little bit of shaved Parmesan cheese because why not? We're extra in this in this dish. I hope you guys try this recipe out. I really love it. This sauce is so delicious. I actually came up with this recipe because I love Ravioli di Portobello from Olive Garden, and they discontinued it. My favorite part was the sauce. So I worked really hard to create a sauce that tastes almost exactly like that. So if you like that dish, you're really gonna love this. Again, if you try it out, leave us a comment and let us know how you liked it. We'd love to hear from you guys. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. I thought I would show you guys how I store my dried tomatoes. I keep them stored in little jars as usual, and I put a little silica packet in there. This is a desiccant packet, and it just keeps the moisture out of the jar. So if there's any moisture left in your tomatoes, it's going to suck all that up and keep your tomatoes fresher longer. And these are actually yellow pear tomatoes. I used up all of my red dried tomatoes already, and that's why you saw me dehydrating some more, because I can't go without them. In fact, I think most of the tomatoes I pick for the rest of the season are probably going to end up being dried like this so that I could use them all year long and always have them. But I also do the same thing with my dried fruits. So I've got like watermelon, mango, cantaloupe, cranberries. I even have peaches up here. And believe it or not, my kids' favorite is dried squash, which is why there's barely any left. So I do it with vegetables also. And cherries are so super good dried as well. So that tends to be one that goes really quickly. But strawberries are my kids' favorite because they're super sour. Here's some more peaches, and then I also do apples, but that one is also a favorite. So you can see it's empty right now. And then I've also got banana chips in jars, and I put a desiccant packet in just about everything, even my nuts. You should put them in your nuts as well because those can okay, I'm not going to go there. I just know someone's going to make a funny joke about it, but I also do it with mushrooms. So you can dry all kinds of stuff and store them away. Brooke, are you sharing your snack? Oh, she didn't share any with you? You don't like apples.
please.